Hi there, Sarah of Get Weaving. My next step, I've finished the fabric I'm weaving on my Ashford 20-inch knitter's loom, and so I'm going to cut it off, stitch the ends, and then wash it and put it out on the line to dry. So I've woven as far as I can right up to the very end, and I've got a nice chunk of fabric on here. So here we go. I'm going to cut this off. Lovely noise, isn't it? Here we go. And do the front. This is silk and wool. The weft is hand spun Shetland. The warp is hand spun Shetland and silk. So I've got a nice lot here. If you can see behind me, there's a mock-up of a dress. I've tried two different sleeves. The one that was a bit too puffy looks silly. So the body of the dress has the warp running vertically, and the bottom layer of the dress has the warp running horizontally. Now I've got a piece of paper on the front because I find that useful for covering the knots up. And I don't like to lose too much, so what I do is I either undo the knots on the front, which might seem a bit tedious, or I cut them, and that still leaves me with a little bit of unwoven warp. I'll do a little bit more and then you can see. And it's quite nice too because I can keep these little bits that I've cut off, and they're a really good way of remembering what the warp was, because it's really amazing once you've finished weaving a piece of fabric. It's quite difficult to remember what you did. Well, it is for me if I don't keep notes. Sometimes I might have started something quite a long time ago and then put it aside because the weather's changed or something else comes up. And if I don't have notes, I'm lost. So I weigh all the yarns first. I measure everything. So this piece of fabric I worked out for the dress that's behind me, and it can have sleeves or not sleeves. It's up to you. I always add a fair chunk for take up, loom waste, that sort of thing. So there's my piece of fabric. I haven't got the notes in front of me, so I'll measure it later and tell you how long it is. Nice though, isn't it? Oh, it smelled lovely too. Bit of Shetland. And then I've got my sewing machine here, and I'm just going to run a straight stitch along both ends so that they don't fray. So, nothing fancy. Nice sewing machine. Goes backward stitch as well. Maybe if I turn that round a little bit. There we go. Sometimes I'll use a slightly longer stitch, so I can do that on here. Sometimes I'll use a zigzag stitch if it's a very coarsely woven fabric. I'm worried it's actually going to start falling apart as soon as I look at it. There we go. So that I can then wash this. There's a running stitch all the way along that edge. I'll do the other end as well. You can see it's quite an open piece of fabric at the moment, but that's how I like to weave my hand spun. You can actually see daylight through that. I'd rather weave it slightly looser, and then it'll close up when it's washed, and I allow for that. I always add extra width and extra length because I don't want there to be too much friction on the warp when I'm changing the shed and beating the weft in. So if I'm using hand spun yarns in particular, I'll often use a slightly looser set, and then when it's washed that will close up nicely. Also, the weft, well, both of them, the warp and the weft, are hand spun, and I've given them one wash once they were spun and plied, but there's probably still a little tiny bit of natural oil in there, which again helps with my weaving. There's nothing worse than having a warp that sticks. We've all done it. Anything that's got fluffy bits, hairy bits, or is set too close together, you start weaving and you just think, no, I can't do this. I can't do 5 yards of this. So this loom then is going to be ready from the project that I'm going to do to show you start to finish how to plan your garment, how to make your mock-up fit, setting your loom up, weaving, cutting, sewing, and so forth. So I'll go and wash this in a minute. I'll just stitch the other end and I'll be back to you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye now.